Hi guys, I'm going to go ahead and try to do a recording of the things that I do when I set up my web conference sessions because unfortunately it's something that I can't turn you into a moderator and allow you guys to see it. So really the best way for me to do this is to use Camtasia, and it's just like you're looking over my shoulder. So I'll go through the things that I do. There's obviously not one exact right or exact wrong, but I'll share the things that I do, and yeah, see if this is helpful. Now, when you're doing this, right now, if you go into the pilot class and you go into week 1 or week 2 or week 4, if you look at the assignment page for web conferencing, I've got really detailed information in there how to do it, but this is per request of students in the past. And if you go down to the setup information, what I did when I first got started, I actually made myself a cheat sheet in a Word document, and I just saved that Word document. And every time I did a session, because in the beginning you're stressed, you're not quite sure, you want to make sure you've done everything. And so I just use that as a cheat sheet. Now I no longer do that because I've used the system so often. But this is just a reminder. Normally, if you look at these instructions here, I log on 45 minutes early. Don't feel like you have to do that, but why that's important to you is that as you guys are partnering together and you're looking at your time frame, if you're in one person's class, at least schedule about a 15 to 30-minute break between the two sessions, but to allow that next person to do their setup. So you want to keep this setup short or succinct. Um, a lot of this should be done before it, takes place. So you're going to have an opening slide reminder, which kind of gives instructions to the students about their audio setup wizard with directions, reminding them to put down their hand and directions. Sorry for that one. Let me go back here. And so give directions, include an instructor picture. You want to begin the recording and then delete it right before you start what you want people to see. You have to do your audio setup wizard. You want to upload your PowerPoint, turn on your talk, max simultaneous speakers, all of these things. I'm just showing this because I'm going to go in and show you how to do this in the web conferencing, but it's also in the directions. So let me pop over to the web conferencing session and show you the things that I normally do. So let's say it's 45 minutes before my session. So it comes on and it always reminds you, do you want to start recording? Now, you certainly don't have to do it this way. You can actually start the recording right before the class starts. I usually go ahead and start recording, and I don't know if you could hear that, but it said recording started. I started 45 minutes ahead of time. Now, you don't want students to have to waste their time and watch all this 45 minutes of recording. So right before the session starts, I will delete all that out, but I'll show you that in a minute. Now, the other thing right over here on the left-hand side, if you can see my mouse moving, it's set so that everybody's hand is raised when you come into the session, including the instructor. So you want to come up here to the third little icon and click on the lower hand so that your hand is not selected. And then I just get started. I click on right over here on the right hand side in the upper right hand corner where it says load content, kind of pointing to it up there, load content, and then I navigate to find my documents. So I will go ahead and bear with me. I am a folder freak, so I keep everything in folders. And I will use the PowerPoint slides that I used last week. I keep them under PowerPoints for week number 3. And I chunk up my PowerPoints into different PowerPoints. A lot of people just have one big PowerPoint file. Either way is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and upload the template for week 3, and that uploads that PowerPoint slide. So for you, this could just be one big presentation. And if you have animations on any of those PowerPoint slides, it removes all of that, and it turns them into these static documents. So you can see that it puts it in the Page Explorer. Now I like to close the Page Explorer, but you can actually keep this open if you want and navigate from slide to slide. But I'm going to go ahead and upload some more slides here. You can go and do the weekly quality check, and I can navigate to a different PowerPoint if I want to. I'm going to go ahead and put the class setup here. So you can either upload one big slide file that has all of your slides, or you can upload multiple. So I won't go through and upload any more, but that's how you do that. And you can see it happens very quickly. Now on this opening slide right here, I usually have the date, I have my picture, I have directions for them, how to run Audio Setup Wizard, how to edit their Blackboard Collaborate, and reminder to lower their electronic hand, because you're hoping that as students log in, they do these things before class starts, because class is very valuable. Usually with web conferencing, you only have an hour, maybe 2 hours. It's not like regular classes that are a little bit longer. So you have to be, that time is so, so valuable. So you want to train students to do that before class starts. And even if they've never been trained or they don't know, if you have the directions, they can read the directions and hopefully get all that done before class starts. So that's all there. Let me move that out of the way. I don't know why that keeps coming up. So we've got that. What else do you need to do? I come over here to Tools, and I go to Audio, and I run Audio Setup Wizard each and every time. So you're going to select your input and your output device. So I will start it and run it. And you go ahead and, in this case, I'm going to select my headset and test it. And I'm hearing a voice through my headset, which I'm guessing you guys aren't hearing. And then I'm going to go ahead and select it for output. And I test talking into it. And can I hear that? Yes, I am hearing it. So we are good to go as far as the setup. And you want to remind your students to run Audio Setup each and every time too, because once you've done it on one computer, it's usually fine, but things happen, and so a good way to fix audio issues is to run that. Now, under audio, if you go under Max Simultaneous Talkers, I always want to change that to 6. Even if you don't plan on having a lot of talkers, there's no downside to changing it, so I always change it to 6. On audio, I always set my breakout rooms ahead of time, and how I remember to do this is I just go to Tools, and I kind of keep going down the tools alphabetically, and I do the things that I want for the session. So if you have breakout rooms, I come over here and I say create breakout rooms, and I like to change the breakout rooms from room to group, and I change it to number. And in this class, we only have 3 breakout rooms, and I always, under the distribution options, I always like to have students move themselves, because it's too stressful for me to move them and to have it happen automatically. And so I train my students how to do this themselves. But if you look through the directions, there are so many different ways to do groups. This is just how I do it. So I click on create, and then I come back into breakout rooms again, and you have to click right here under allow participants to move themselves. So if you come back here and you come back under break, it's now checked so that you see that. So down under in session invite, I always click on invite new participant, and there's several different ways you can do this. If you're sending an email to family or friends to be an outside participant in your class, to be a fake student, you can either click on compose email and they get this email, or you can click on copy link and it copies the URL, and then you can go into the URL and paste that URL, or you can send it directly to them. The other thing that I like to do with that in-session invite is I usually send this to myself. So I'm going to go ahead and put my email address in here, and you can see there is the URL to be a fake student, and I send it to myself. And what I usually do is I have a laptop to the right of me. You actually can do it on the same computer as Ahmed was talking about in class last night, but I usually will go to my email on, I like to do it on a separate computer, and I will click on that link, and I just want to show you how it launches, and bear with me, I'm going to bring it over. Now you want to tell your family or friends, or if you have a guest coming, that it's going to prompt you for a name. This is not a password. So often people get confused and they'll call me back and they'll say, hey, you forgot to give me the password. No, it's not a password. They put your name in. So this is where the student would, I like them to put their first and their last names, and they'll click login and it will take them right into the session. I'm not going to do that for today because we are doing other things. So I will come back to the session and look at tools. Under polling, this is where you change your polling type. For the logins, I usually leave it at the check and the X, and you know that's right because it's right there, because that's where you do your quality check. But you can change it later in the class. Now, I do come over here under profile, and you have to do this each and every time. Under show profiles, and then you go to everyone. That allows all of the little pictures that people, or the information that people put in their profile, to show. Why you have to do that every time, I don't know, but you do have to do it each and every time. And I think that's really all. If you are going to use the video, you can also go under max simultaneous cameras and change that to 6 also. So over here on the right hand side, you want to make sure that you have this follow selected. If you do not have follow selected, you will advance the slides and the students will not follow with you. They won't see the new slides. The reason why this is used is if you have students in the class and you want to go and change something, you can unselect that follow, go a couple of slides ahead of time. They don't see what you're doing. You can make the change and then go back, and they never saw what you did. But when class starts, you definitely want to go ahead and select follow so that they can see what you're doing. So let's go back to the instructions. The instructions and make sure that I have shown you everything. We'll go back up here. We showed you how to do the opening slide. We showed you how to do the audio wizard, how to upload the PowerPoints. Turn on the talk. Let me go back there. A really common thing is people forget to turn on talk, because when you're going through the audio setup wizard, you talk and you hear talking and it makes you think that you have your microphone turned on. No, once you've done your audio setup wizard, you cannot do it with the talk turned on. So you finish your audio setup wizard, and right when class is about to start, then I usually click on talk, and then it's recording my voice. So obviously to unclick it, that's what you would do. So that is there. Let me come back up here. We showed the max simultaneous speakers, max simultaneous cameras, displayed the profiles. I showed you how to do the breakout rooms. Oh, let me show you how to copy slides to the breakout rooms. This is all done before you get started. So let's say I have a slide that I want copied. Perhaps I want to move this particular slide to the breakout rooms. I take my mouse and I right click on the slide, and I can go to current page, go straight across and select copy page to breakout rooms. I can choose to select copy this to all of the breakout rooms, or just one. So if I have a case study and there's a different one for group 1, a different one for group 2, a different one for group 3, then I would just have my PowerPoints load up in the main room, copy them, and then go ahead and click copy. Now, if I don't want this room to show up, this slide to show up in the main room, I only want it to be in the slide, I can right click and go over to current page and delete. If I want to delete this page out, and it's going to say, do you want to delete this? So then this page is not in the main room anymore. It's only in the breakout room. So if I drag myself into that group 1, you see that I've copied it into there, and I drag myself out. It's not in the main room. So that's one way to copy it over. So we'll go back here. I showed you how to send out the invitations. I selected follow. And then we're going to personal preparations. Once I'm done with everything, and maybe there's time before the session begins, I shut my door, I put a do not disturb sign, I take my phone off the hook, I get a glass of water, I use the restroom just to get myself personally ready to start it. So let's say I've got everything done and I'm waiting, and I go back to the first opening slide and I've got follow selected. I wait for, if class starts at 4, I literally wait for it to turn till 4 o'clock, and I do two things. First, I come over here and I clear out everything in the recording. And to do that, you go Tools, Recorder, Erase Recording. Do you want to erase everything so far? Yep, I do. And then I click on Talk and I start my class. So I start class the same way every time. It helps me to calm down a little bit, and then there's just a consistency each and every time. So you can see everything I did for the setup is not recorded, but I will know you did it as an instructor because I will see the results of it. I will see that you uploaded the PowerPoints. I will see that multiple people can talk at one time. I will see that you've lowered your hand. I will see that you have the breakout room set up. So if you get into your session and I'm watching your recording and one student is talking and another student tries to talk and they can't talk, then I'm going to know as an instructor you forgot to change uh, max simultaneous talkers from 1 to 6. So these are things that I physically won't see you do. I couldn't even see you if you're recording it, but I will see the result of it. Now, what you should record is once class starts, is you should record your weekly quality check where you remind them to verify the recording is going, verifying that they're seeing the slide, and verifying that they can hear you adequately. That should be very quick and very succinct and happen, take a very little amount of your class, okay? So that's the setup. It is not recorded in your session. As a matter of fact, you delete it right before you start. But what is recorded is this quality check. So I hope that answers questions about what I do in my setup, and certainly yours is going to be a little bit different, but maybe that helps you to get started in that. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Bye.